Good evening to you from a chilly Notre Dame stadium. I'm Alex Wilcox. Notre Dame improves to 10-0 tonight with an impressive 42-13 win over Florida State.
And I'm Chuck Freeby. The Irish dominated in all phases of the game tonight, taking advantage of early Florida State miscues to grab a big lead they would never relinquish. We are also joined by Irish Illustrated reporter Tim Prister. Let's get right to the highlights, Tim, of this one. We're going to start on the second play of the game. DeAndre Francois is intercepted by Nick Coleman. Coleman returns it inside the 5. 2 plays later, Brandon Wimbush will hit Miles Boykin for the touchdown. The Irish jump out to the 7-0 lead. I don't think Notre Dame could have drawn up any better start than that.
No, absolutely not. Too early turnovers. It's exactly what Brandon Wimbush needed to kind of settle in. But I thought coming out of the chute, he was pretty darn good. He was pretty accurate. He seemed comfortable. Maybe he just kind of forgot everything and said, you know what, I'm just going to go for it. Because although as the game wore on, he struggled a little bit more, I thought he was pretty solid out of the chute.
On Notre Dame's next drive, they strike again. Wimbush looking for Alize Mack in the corner, and what a catch by Mack. Somehow gets his foot down inbounds. That caps off a 14-play, 81-yard drive, and the Irish take the 14-0 lead midway through the first. Tim Alize Mack made several big plays tonight.
He really did. Two of his better catches in his career, and he saved the best for last, probably almost undoubtedly his last game in a Notre Dame uniform in Notre Dame Stadium. Good to see, especially him bouncing back from the concussion.
Unbelievable for him to get 1 foot down on that catch, but he managed to do it. They took another look at it on replay, and it was good. So Notre Dame is up 19-6, early second quarter. Dexter Williams takes the handoff, and folks, he is gone in a hurry. 58 yards right up the middle for his 8th TD of the season. Extra point was blocked, but Notre Dame extends the lead to 25-6. And Tim, another huge night for Dexter Williams.
Yeah, I really did not think that Notre Dame could have this kind of success running the football against Florida State. As bad as Florida State has been, they've been really good against the run. For Notre Dame to surpass 300 yards rushing and for Dexter Williams to surpass 200 yards rushing, I think it's real progress for Notre Dame's offensive line.
We'll see more from Dexter Williams in a little bit, but the Irish keep pouring it on in the first half. Wimbush again throws up a jump ball to Mack, and Alize Mack somehow comes down with it. 2 leaping acrobatic touchdown catches for the senior tight end, puts Notre Dame in front 32-6 midway through the second quarter. And Tim, after last week's slow start against Northwestern, it really was good to see Notre Dame just take it to a team like that from the outset.
No doubt about it. And for Brandon Wimbush to get 3 touchdown passes in the first half, he only had 1 in the first 3 games of the year. That was where we really thought Florida State was vulnerable. They came into the game having allowed 23 touchdown passes. It's now 26. Strong performance by Brandon Wimbush in the first half.
First half, Brandon Wimbush really good, but in the third quarter, things got a little sloppy. Notre Dame's opening drive out of the locker room, Wimbush picked off inside Irish territory. Seminoles scored a TD off that turnover, and then later in the quarter, Wimbush intercepted again. Both picks coming on third down, and Tim, I think any talk of a quarterback controversy in this one was put to bed there in the third.
No, there's no quarterback controversy here. And, and quite frankly, Ian Brooks had some problems with those defenders kind of hiding in the weeds. And I think that's what Brandon Wimbush ran into here. You think about it, he hasn't played quarterback, hasn't played a meaningful minute quarterback in 7 weeks. So for him to come out that strong in the first half, that's great. Give Florida State some credit. They obviously made some adjustments in the second half to intercept Brandon Wimbush twice.
We now jump ahead to the beginning of the fourth. Irish on top, 35-13. I said we'd see more from Dexter, and here it is. Dexter Williams does it again, rips off a 32-yarder to the house. His second touchdown of the night. That puts him over 200 yards rushing, and also capped off a 12-play, 97-yard drive. That came entirely on the ground. Tim, really impressive to see the offensive line impose their will on a good Florida State front.
A subtle change tonight, although I think it showed up in that 300 yards rushing. Tommy Kramer back in the starting lineup at right guard in place of Trevor Rulin. A much bigger and stouter Florida State defensive front. It made sense to put Kramer in there. I don't know exactly how he did till we get a chance to look at it a little bit more closely, but I think there's a correlation there between his presence in the line, the progress of the offensive line, and the 300 yards rushing.
So your final analysis of this game?
Well, I think it's a huge step forward for the offensive line. I think that's something to build upon, something that's going to be important as they go into the Syracuse game when they know they're going to need almost unlikely or likely a lot more points in a game like that. So real progress. I was glad to see, for Notre Dame's sake, the defense keep Florida State out of the end zone that last time. Whether style points are necessary at this point or not, I'm not sure, with Notre Dame being undefeated, but you'd like to see Florida State held to 13 as opposed to 20 moving forward.
Absolutely.
Now, we don't really know the full extent of Ian Book's injury. If Brandon Wimbush has to continue playing as quarterback for the Irish, are you still confident that they can get it done, or are you worried?
I think there's some concern there. Certainly there's some give in the Syracuse defense in the passing game, but they are in the top 25 in the nation in sacks, so they're capable of putting some pressure on the quarterback. They also have great balance in their offense. They're not just a passing team. They're averaging more than 200 yards rushing per game. So, I don't think Syracuse is no fluke.
Yeah.
It's a quality team, and when you play a team like that, they're going to be up tempo. You have to be prepared to score a lot of points if there's some give from your defense.
Folks, you can subscribe to Irish Illustrated, the #1 source for Notre Dame sports online. Head to irishillustrated.com and click on Join to find the best plan for you. We certainly appreciate Tim Prister joining us tonight.
Now, the other big story of the game tonight was just how cold it is outside. With the temperatures averaging in the upper 20s, fans sure got creative for how they decided to stay warm.
News Center 16's Jen Cardone joins us now with some of the unique ways fans were keeping the heat in. Jen?
Well, I think the biggest thing was people were just layering up and not forgetting their gloves like I did to come down here. I left them up in the press box. But, the other big thing is investing in those hand warmers that you can keep in your gloves or in your pockets as a warming device. Now, earlier, the tailgaters had those propane heaters. They were such a big hit. People also had tarps over the sides of their tents to keep that wind out. But when the fans flocked to the stadium, they had to find alternative methods to maintain the heat inside of them. Hot chocolate lines were going all night long, as many were simply using the hot chocolate to keep their hands warm. But then for others, well, I guess the cold didn't bother them at all.
Well, as cold as anyone would be with the air blowing around. It's really not that bad if you keep your core warm. Oh, I'll be fine. I've worn shorts to this game before. It's really about staying close with your friends.
The taste is one part of it. It's also warm, so it's obviously a blend. I think there are some memories of growing up, having hot chocolate, some little nostalgia with it as well.
So the guy with the kilt, he says the last time he wore one, they beat Florida State in 1993. He felt it was good mojo because he usually wears shorts anyway. So why not? It's cold out. Well, I guess we have some crazy people out there, but hey, you got to do what you got to do to bring in another win.
All right, Jen, I'll give these to you now. Even though now your hit's over, you can go in and get warm. But
Thank you.
Yeah, for the camera, I'll look like a nice guy.
Thank you.
Such the gentleman. Hey, let's send it back to Travis in the newsroom. He has more of tonight's news.
And welcome back into the sidelines of Notre Dame Stadium. I'm Alex Wilcox alongside Chuck Freeby. Notre Dame just wrapped up, several minutes ago, a pretty convincing win over Florida State, 42-13, to improve to 10-0, cap off their home slate undefeated, 7 wins at home, and reach 10 wins for back-to-back seasons for the first time since Lou Holtz was coaching back in the 90s.
Yeah, the other milestone you noted, the undefeated home season, that is the third time in just the last 20 years that's happened. So it doesn't happen all that often. Meanwhile, let's take a look at some other things that have happened. Brandon Wimbush has just taken the microphone at his postgame press conference. Let's listen in live. To New Jersey we go, or excuse me, Jim Harbaugh coaching Michigan today against Rutgers. And the 4th-ranked Wolverines up 14-7 when Shea Patterson finds Nico Collins wide open in the end zone. That extends the lead to 14 points in the third. Michigan up 21-7. Patterson has all day. No, seriously, all day to throw. He finally breaks through pass rushers and finds Oliver Martin. Barely getting his fingers on that one for the diving catch. Easy today for Michigan, 42-7 over Rutgers.
Sticking in the Big Ten, Purdue out in Minnesota taking on the Gophers. Second quarter, Seth Green dropping back to pass. Finds a wide open Jake Paulson in the end zone. No one within 10 yards of that guy. The Gophers jump out on top 10-3. This day just wasn't a good one for the Boilermakers. David Blau looks to make something happen, but is stripped by Blake Cashman, who picks up the fumble and takes it 40 yards to the end zone. Minnesota rolls over Purdue 41-10.
So that does it for us here at Notre Dame Stadium. Once again, the final score 42-13. Notre Dame now 10-0 on the year. Travis and Cindy will be back after the break, but first, your lottery numbers. Good luck.